What people don't understand about the South is that the land remembers. Every row of cotton, every leaf of tobacco carries the memory of the hands that worked it. Lucille's people weren't just laborers. Some carried Indian blood, Cherokee, Choctaw. But the government didn't care about blood, they cared about color. And with the stroke of a pen, Indian became Negro. And everything that came with it. In the American South of the 1940s, freedom was a word written on paper but never delivered. Families who'd been free for generations, some with Indian blood running through their veins, found themselves reclassified, Indian to Negro, with the stroke of a pen. And they found themselves in the same fields their ancestors had worked. They called it sharecropping. They called it opportunity. But the sun was the same, the hands were the same, and the profit never reached the hands that earned it.
My mama had 9 of us. 9 children, and then she was gone. Daddy didn't know what to do with all of us. He was a field man, not a house man.
Lucille's mother died giving life to her 9th child. 9 children and no mother. Their father was a man of the fields, not the hearth. He didn't know how to braid hair or bandage scraped knees. So when a woman offered to step in, he believed her. He believed the lie. Because grief makes you believe what you need to.
That woman burned me. On my arms, on my back, places Daddy couldn't see. She'd smile at him like butter wouldn't melt, but we knew. We all knew.
The woman didn't love those children. She loved control. She burned them with cigarette ends, left marks in places their father wouldn't see. She withheld food, locked them out on cold nights, and when their father came home, she'd smile and say, "The children have been just fine today." Lucille learned early that the truth doesn't always set you free. Sometimes the truth just gets you another.
I told my daddy, if you marry that woman and don't give me that baby, I'm gonna run away. And I did run away. I ran away at 12 and a half years old. I sure did.
In 1942, a 12-year-old girl walked down a dirt road in Alabama. Nothing but a suitcase in bus fare. She sat at that bus stop alone, small against a wide, empty sky. When the bus came, she climbed on and rode all the way to North Carolina by her. The Greyhound bus smelled of diesel and stale sandwiches. Lucille had never been on a bus before. She pressed her small face to the window and watched Alabama dissolve behind her. Cotton fields gave way to pine forests, then to the rolling green hills of North Carolina. A child traveling alone through Jim Crow's South, colored section in the back, eyes forward, don't make trouble. She made it because she'd already survived. She landed on a tobacco plantation, not cotton this time. Tobacco. The irony never rests in the South. A child fleeing one kind of bondage, only to find another field, another son, another man's crop to tend. But here, something was different. Tobacco is a demanding crop. You start before the sun rises. The leaves are wet with dew and they cling to your arms. You pick them one by one, sorting the good from the damaged. Then comes the wrapping. You take those broad green leaves and wrap them tight around wooden frames they called horses. Then you hang them in the barn, row after row, rafter to rafter, and you wait. The curing takes weeks. The barn fills with a smell that's sweet and sharp all at once. Lucille said it was the best smell she ever knew.
I went to North Carolina too. Boy, I ain't seen nothing but tobacco. I picked that tobacco baby, made good money. I'd wrap it, put it on a horse and wrap it. They hang it way up in the barn. You talking about something smell good.
Farm saw Lucille for what she was, a child. They became her aunties. They didn't allow her out in the wilderness. They watched her money. They taught her to survive without losing her dignity. For years, Lucille worked those fields, picking tobacco, wrapping it, hanging it in the barn. A child raising herself with borrowed.
You had to mind them old women like your mama. They didn't allow us to go out nowhere. But that woman at the store, she was so nice to me. Let me wash my clothes every Saturday morning. I was raised up with people that didn't even know me. Sure did. When he smiled at me across that counter, baby, I about fell over. He had the biggest hands and the sweetest smile. I knew right then.
He came into that diner every single morning. 6 o'clock, black coffee, ham and eggs, a railroad man with hands like shovels and a smile that could light up a dark room. For 3 months, all he said was please and thank you. Then one Tuesday morning, he looked up from his coffee and said, I think you might be the most beautiful woman in Birmingham. Lucille said she nearly dropped the coffee pot. But Lucille had something the South couldn't take from her. A voice, deep and soulful, like Mahalia Jackson herself. The kind of voice that could silence a room or bring a church to its feet. And her husband played guitar like he was born with one in his hands. They'd pull out the Green Book and drive all the way from Lamar County, Alabama, down to Miami, stopping at every black-owned establishment along the way, juke joints, churches, roadhouses, singing and playing for tips. In the Jim Crow South, that Green Book wasn't just a travel guide. It was the difference between life and death.
Ooh, baby, me and my husband, we could tear up a juke joint. He'd play that guitar and I'd sing, and
On their
people would
last
just
trip
forget
leaving
their troubles
Miami,
for a little
her
while.
husband had been drinking hard. So Lucille took the wheel, a black woman driving through the rural South at night. They hadn't gone far before a sheriff appeared in the rearview mirror. He rode their bumper like he wanted to push them into a ditch. No lights, no siren, just the steady pressure of a badge and a grudge. Mile after mile after mile. Lucille gripped that wheel and kept her speed steady. And when they finally crossed the county line, he let them go. Just like that. Because his power ended where the next man's began.
That sheriff rode our bumper for miles. Miles. I just kept driving. I said, Lord, just get us across that county line. That doctor didn't want to fix me. He wanted to study me. Like I was some kind of experiment. And by the time I figured it out, the lights had already gone out.
At that time, Lucille had only 2 children. Just 2. She was trying to change a cloth diaper with a safety pin when she punctured her baby's skin. Deep. She made a vow right then. She would not attempt anything else until she mastered living in the dark. She would go on to have 8 children in total, 4 boys, 4 girls. But first, she had to learn to survive the darkness.
I sat in that dark room and I said, Lord, if you bring me through this, I promise I will never stop fighting. And he brought me through.
The Helen Keller School was supposed to be a place of healing. But the headmaster was a predator. He isolated the blind students from their families, cut them off from the outside world. And behind those closed doors, he put his hands on them. Inappropriately, knowing they couldn't see his face, knowing no one would believe them. Lucille learned what she came to learn, Braille, cooking by touch, counting her steps. But she would not stay in that place one day longer than she had to. She caught a ride with a stranger and she escaped. A blind woman trusting a voice she'd never seen because anything was better than staying. To this day, Lucille can move a congregation. Put her in front of a church choir, and that deep, soulful voice fills every corner of the room. She can't see the tears streaming down faces in the pews, but she can feel them. Some gifts, the darkness simply cannot touch. Lucille walked through fire, through fields, through darkness. And she came out the other side, still standing, still cooking, still counting her steps, still here.
Lord, He kept me. It is another day that the Lord has. Lord, He sure kept me. He have kept me from all that were evil. Lord, I know my mama just stay on Jesus. It's another day that the Lord has.